So we have now been witness to not one but two very chaotic qualifying sessions because of course it is a sprint weekend in Formula One. Austria, one of those tracks that of course plenty of overtakes, lots of DRS zones, but there has been one thing causing chaos and that has been track limits. We'll get to that in just a bit because that is a little bit surprising. But let's start with possibly the least surprising thing is that Max Verstappen finished on pole on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, I think at this point they should just have a graphic ready and you know, fire it before the race even starts, because we all know
what is
that
happening.
Max Verstappen's Red Bull is 100 miles ahead everyone else.
Exactly, and that was exactly the case in both qualifying sessions, both Friday and Saturday. Although again, as I said, track limits, he wasn't really immune to them. He wasn't very happy about it either. But first, let's, if you're going over qualifying, then yes, there were issues you saw clearly with a lot of drivers. One of them being that more often than not, it was hard to get that optimum time in. They were kind of struggling with that. And of course, we come back to those time deletions. Yesterday, by the way, we had 23 lap times deleted.
Wow, that's 23. A lot.
23, yeah.
Is this, I'd like to ask before we get to the debate.
Or the nitty-gritties, let's say.
Or the conversation. Is F1 introducing track limits for, is this a new concept?
No, I mean, see, so what was happening for the past couple of years, you've seen them be a little more strict about it because...
Strict?
Yeah.
When have we seen 23 lap times being deleted?
To be fair, 23 was a record for the Austrian Grand Prix. And you know what was the record it broke? Last year's Austrian Grand Prix was 17 were breached.
Okay, maybe it's just one.
This circuit is definitely one of the tougher ones.
Yeah, because I remember this being not a heated topic, but this is something that happens a lot in MotoGP, which is fair enough because those are bikes.
And they're much thinner.
No,
I mean bikes, if you're looking at the...
They're thinner, but they're harder to control when you're turning, right? So that happens a lot in MotoGP and it happens in the races as well. You're given a warning first and then you get a penalty. So this is something that happens very, very often in MotoGP, but this time I never saw it happening that often in F1.
With F1, what happens more often than not is because see, a lot of tracks, they'll have a variety of corners, right? Some will be close to a wall, some may in fact have gravel traps. So very often than not, if you have a wall or a gravel trap, you're not pushing the limits.
Yeah, of course.
But with Austria now, it's a lot of runoff zones, whether it be grass or whether it be your usual runoff zones. So because it's kind of a weirdly kind of twisty circuit and because it's one where the lap time is really short. I mean, you're getting pole times here. Verstappen's pole time in Q3 was 1 minute 4. That's 64 seconds of lap time. So more often than not, you're pushing. And because that last turn is one where they tend to go wide more often than not, it's being policed a lot. In fact, they've been told very clearly that there's certain turns, I think 1, 3, 9 and 10, where it's being policed more so, and most of the deletions are coming due to those. So, and of course, you have to remember with these newer cars, they've become much wider. So, it is a little harder for them to control. That's why you're seeing so many deletions.
That's true. So, track limits is a problem in Austria. Keep that in mind, all the drivers. Not that I need to tell them.
Not by this point, but again, remember, even in a race, if you are flagged for,
track limits.
Yes, one too many times, you will eventually...
The second time, I think the second or third time
you're given a warning.
You'll get a penalty,
And then thereafter, you're given penalties for it as well. So, it's not just a case of, oh, let's avoid it during qualifying. Of course, it's easier during a race because more often than not, you're not always seeking perfect laps. But it has been an issue. A lot of drivers have spoken up. A lot of them have been not very happy. In fact, even the commentators have been saying, why is it taking so long? Now, in defense of the stewards, they are using physical evidence, which means every time they need to delete a lap time, if they feel it's suspicious, they're going to have to pour over the footage from every angle, which is why you had
There's no technology that
No.
That's what happens in MotoGP, by the way.
And so they use Hawkeye technology, I'm assuming, right?
No, they have, like you have in tennis or something.
Yeah, that's Hawkeye. That's Hawkeye.
Okay.
Yes,
so
correct.
That's what they have in
Exactly. It's the pinnacle of motorsport. You don't have Hawkeye technology. It's very weird. It's very weird. In fact, the commentators are saying the same thing. They're like, we need Hawkeye. Because then at least you'll be able to make that call far more easily. Right now, the stewards are having to go through it.
Oh no.
It's really bad.
Just zooming in.
Yeah.
It's a whole
process.
Gill catch
type
of
situation. There's no Hawkeye sort of a situation which kind of helps them, makes it easier. So you've seen Hawkeye, of course, used very effectively in tennis. MotoGP you're mentioning has it as well. But it's not there in F1. It's very weird.
Very weird.
But you know what else is very weird?
Yeah, the qualifying yesterday.
Qualifying today as well.
Yeah.
Hamilton out in Q1, George Russell out in Q2. He didn't run the car in Q2, so there was some issue. He didn't have one single lap.
Oh my gosh. Does this have anything to do with the upgrade?
No, I think it was down to, I think there was a kind of thing going on where they were changing his front wing. So it might have been a wing issue.
A wing issue?
Yeah, but either way, not a good, let's say session for the Merc boys at all. Red Bull will be much happier with how the sprint went, but Perez once again in trouble when it comes to the race.
Why? He and
Out in Q2. P2 in the sprint. Yesterday's qualifying, Friday's qualifying. He was out in Q2.
So in the race grid, he is P?
I
think he's P11 or 12.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah. So that's not good at all considering.
Good for Checo.
And you know why it is that he's there? He had a time good enough to be in the top 5.
Track limits.
Yes.
Okay.
Track limits. Track limits, that enemy of all the drivers this weekend.
It's not helping Checo's case at all because we've been talking about this as well, and all those rumors flying around of Helmut Marko getting ready to fire Checo. I don't know how true they are, but if there are rumors, that means there is some talk over there.
Exactly. In fact, you're talking about Red Bull drivers in trouble. Nick De Vries comes in with big question marks over him as well. And you know what he does in Friday qualifying? Finishes 20th.
Oh no, that's not helping anyone's case.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, Checo would be feeling the pressure even more. Same with De Vries. And this is Red Bull's home race, by the way.
Yeah.
So you'd think the Red Bull fans would be, or the Red Bull drivers or Red Bull affiliated drivers, be enjoying this a little bit. No enjoyment if you're Checo Perez. Definitely none if you're Nick De Vries. In fact, even if you're going by the sprint, Nick De Vries was only 14th in, the sprint quali. And Yuki Tsunoda 13th. So he is once again being beaten by his teammate. Not a good sign. Look, we know this AlphaTauri definitely is not a points challenger. At the very least, what you can be doing is outperforming your teammate. De Vries unable to do that as well. But of course,
but a good comeback for Stroll, I say.
Yeah, Stroll qualified ahead of Fernando Alonso in the race.
For the first time
Second time. He's done it once before, I can't remember where. But generally speaking, Alonso's...
it was at the beginning of the season somewhere. Yes,
but Alonso's generally had the wood over him when it comes to qualifying. In fact, talking about teams who've done well, even the Ferraris did really well, second and third on the grid.
You know, talking about Ferrari, I've been looking at this video that's been going viral on Twitter. And I don't know, Twitter, I've seen it mainly on Twitter, and that showed the Red Bull and it was an animation basically, and it showed the Red Bull and the Ferrari side by side, Charles Ferrari and Max's Red Bull, and it was going almost at the same pace, just a few milliseconds behind.
Correct, it was hundredths of a second if I'm not wrong,
and
which was the difference.
People are saying that Ferrari may have caught up with Red Bull when it comes to pace.
When it comes to one lap pace, you mean?
One lap, when it comes to one lap pace, because with that kind of pace, I don't know how good they are with the overtaking and in the race when they're qualifying in the midfield. I don't know.
And the tires, again, that's been the big issue.
So when you look at side by side pace, when there's no one else around on the track, Ferrari is good. But when there's other drivers involved, it's not good.
Yeah, race trim is their major issue because again, what we've been seeing is there have been times. Remember, if you remember the last sprint that happened in Baku, the pole position in sprint shootout was taken by Leclerc.
Yes.
But come the race, no answer whatsoever for either of the Red Bulls. So I think that will be the key challenge for Ferrari. Of course, it's good on them that they managed to actually get the car up as high as they have. Even in the sprint, I mean, you have Sainz in 5th and Leclerc in 6th. And considering the cars in front of them are Lando Norris and Nico Hülkenberg, I think they'd be reasonably challenging for at least a podium in the sprint, if nothing else.
But talking about yesterday's qualifying as well for the race. Lewis Hamilton was given a €100 penalty, which will not harm his pockets at all. Yeah. But he's been giving it for exceeding in the pit lane by 0.2 kilometers, by the way. And then Max Verstappen, he might just lose his his pole. In the race grid because Max is being called in by the stewards because apparently he was impeding Kevin Magnussen at turn 1 in the latter, I think
Q3 or Q2,
second part of Q2, something of that sort. But Max Verstappen and the Kevin Magnussen incident is under investigation.
Interesting. I mean, that's part of the thing when it comes to really this track, I feel. For one, with Hamilton getting caught out, why he wasn't probably given a major fine is also because it was, as you said, it was that much of a millimeters, but also in Austria, they generally tend to reduce the speed a little bit because it's one of those kind of slopey.
Uphill.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it uphill or downhill? Uphill.
I think it's uphill.
Yeah.
Or it might be downhill. No, I
Why?
generally remember it being uphill anyway.
Okay.
But I just checked actually, Verstappen keeps his pole.
Oh, okay, great then.
Good news for him. I think they realized that,
He
I
wasn't
think,
impeding him.
or
Maybe
wasn't intentional.
it wasn't
let's say.
intentional. Maybe it was just a racing incident, or maybe it's Haas that brought.
Yeah, Haas, Magnussen.
Haas that brought up the issue, and then stewards had to look into it.
And they said
but
no.
whatever, Max keeps his pole.
Which means he's probably winning the race.
Yes.
Again.
Can we look at some comments till
We
then?
could actually. Let's
Yeah.
just take a couple comments. We can take them from here. Or wait, we're getting them on the screen as well.
What else can we talk about? Okay, McLaren's coming in with another upgrade. Remember, they were delivering it in a three-stage sort of a thing, right?
Yes, and in fact, not just that. This time around, not only are they actually, let's say, bringing in the upgrades in 3 stages. This weekend, there's only one car that has the upgrade, Lando Norris.
Yeah.
Piastri doesn't have the upgrade because they couldn't produce the parts quickly enough, which means that this weekend will only see Lando Norris run that upgrade. Oh, and speaking of comments, Dex says, I think you're wrong regarding Red Bull's domination. They'll struggle big time in high downforce tracks like Hungaroring and Interlagos, but their car is producing the most downforce. I think they have a car that's good for all conditions. So,
I was reading up this article, Dex, which said that when in Monaco the Red Bull car was lifted and the floor was seen,
it was complex.
It was very complex, and it was when F1 experts talked about it, when the technicalities of it were talked about it. The F1 experts said that the Red Bull floor was so curved and was producing so much downforce that you couldn't even call it a floor. It's so curved.
Exactly, that's the thing. They, I think, have aced these regulations, and it's going to take some time for cars to beat them. And especially when it comes to the downforce. See, one thing with cars that generally speaking are good or better at downforce tracks. If you remember Red Bull in 2021, where they generally did much better in the high downforce tracks. But the Mercedes were much better in tracks where the straight line speed was important. This Red Bull doesn't have that weakness. Not only are they very good with the downforce, but that straight line speed is mega. They have mega straight line speed. So I think the only way the domination comes to an end is if Mercedes and Aston Martin can get upgrades that will kind of help them, let's say, rein in or catch up. That's the only way. Of course, Ferrari now as well are doing the same thing. So let's see whether or not they too can catch up. But right now, I think this entire season is Red Bull's to lose. Do we have any more interesting comments?
Dex has one other comment where he's saying, one second, I just lost the comment. He's saying another easy Max win. In Australia, just check his record in the Red Bull ring. He absolutely crushes the opposition in Austria. We all agree.
Yeah, Austria, he does have a very, very good record.
He has a very good record.
Yes, the only other person who I know has as good a record or is consistently that good, Lando, but he doesn't win. No. He's good for podiums there. Yeah. So you might just see him being like a shock contender.
Let's say. Maybe in a few years, when McLaren, has their stuff sorted out.
Or when Lando leaves. Could be. You don't know.
Could be, but I'm imagining Lando stays with McLaren and McLaren figures their stuff out. You could see Lando, he is a contender that could, possibly.
True, absolutely. He's someone who does, and in Austria, he does have a very good record. I think he took his first podium there as well. So, who knows? Could very well be a possibility.
Yeah.
I guess you'd be cheering for McLaren considering.
Considering? Orange. Oh gosh. Why not?
Yeah.
I love McLaren actually.
Interesting.
But since Daniel went out, I don't know. I just the lagao is gone.
Yeah, well, Danny was loved for a lot of people, so I can kind of understand that. So that's it from us. I think lots of stuff to discuss. We hope we could discuss it with you guys to the best of our abilities. And if you enjoyed our video, then please don't forget, like, share, subscribe, tap the bell icon, leave us a comment, and also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Don't forget also
to download the AUSTRAN app.
Absolutely, and stay tuned for more such updates from us. Right now, though, from Gargi and me, it is goodbye and take care.